Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. So let's start with some already known news that a lot of people are watching very closely because a lot of federal immigration agents have been given orders to stay camera ready as operations intensify across major cities because everybody's pulling out their camera, their cell phones, their video retaping some of the arrests. And I would even say that these federal police officers need body cams to protect themselves in case anyone makes any falsified statements of maybe police abuse, anything. Again, it protects the people, it protects them of any false allegations. But hundreds have already been arrested in a crackdown targeting illegal immigrants with criminal records. But I think the big kicker here is this move isn't just about law enforcement, it's about optics, the way they're going about doing it, the way people are perceiving it, because a lot of the agents are being told to document their actions to counter backlash from activists and politicians. And I've been saying this on my Twitter, very American, for certain demographics of people to stay out the way of federal law enforcement agencies doing their job. Because again, if you was in this country illegally, would you go and cape for another group? Would you go and support another group who, again, is illegally in the country? Okay, so we have a new president. He has pretty much implemented martial law on illegal immigrants. They must be, captured, especially the criminals. The other ones need to be detained and they will be deported. So again, it really has nothing to do about the way we feel as human beings or even Americans. It really just says that people did some illegal things to come inside the country, and now they have to go back to their country and possibly come into America the right way. That's all what's really going on. Now, as far as the violent criminals, who knows if we're going to keep them, in our prisons, or we're going to deport them and ensure they're in their prisons. Because again, a lot of these offenders from all different countries that come through the south of the border have been locked up, detained in jail 5, 6, 7 times. So it shows a very trend of a lot of the crime that has been occurring with a lot of the violent illegal immigrants. Not all of them are violent and illegal. Well, all of them are illegal, but all of them are not violent, so to speak. Okay. So another big topic I know you guys have been watching is Trump has really been hard on DEI, and there's been all sorts of rhetoric that comes out from the left and the right about him rolling back DEI initiatives and stop supporting government-led programs. It's stating, is this a new way to hire only white people? And I think a lot of people, because of the Democratic Party, has looked at this very liberal, because again, when it comes to black people, we believe that DEI benefited us. And I just ask people, how did it benefit us? And they kind of rabble off and babble off some sort of like government red web. And I'm just like, but how? Give me the numbers. Give me the statistics of black people who have been hired under DEI initiatives and other DEI programs. Now, of course, there are some people who are part of the offices of DEI, whether it be private, public corporations and business and federal agencies, right? They may have, certain minorities, black person, Asian person, Hispanic person, so they can have diversity. But again, when we look at the people who benefit from the program, not the people that work for the program, because again, that's that symbolism where I'm showing a certain demographic where that is just on the surface. No one wants to dig deeper. Again, it's the very optics of things. Because if somebody continues to show you things over and over again, you would tend to believe that that is the majority versus those are just figureheads. Those are just, people they put in place for symbolism. But what are the numbers that we're getting at? Because he's dismantling the entire DEI and a lot of federal contracts who had these programs. And some people believe that this is, part of a broader strategy to cut what he views as political driven programs in schools and government agencies and military. But I don't know if anyone actually read the executive order ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing. And you can go how whoever wrote this, executive order of the programs and what entities they were going to terminate. Like, take for instance, when we look at this portion, terminate to maximize extent allowed by law all DEI, DEIA, and environmental justice officers and positions, including but not limited to the chief diversity officer positions, all equity action plans, equity actions, initiatives, or programs, equity-related grants or contracts, and all DEI or DEIA performance requirements for employees, contractors, or grantees. So it seems like they cover their entire basis of all the things they want to counsel. Now, my son asked me this about a week ago, and here it is. Let me show you this. To inform and advise the president, this is part of the executive order, so that he may formulate appropriate and effective civil rights policies for the executive branch, and assistant to the president for domestic policy shall convene a monthly meeting attended by the director of OMB, okay, the Office of Management Budget, the director of OPM, and each deputy agencies or department head too. So this is to answer, if people just would have read it, the question is if this is going to roll back the Civil Rights Act. No, it's not. This is not what DEI is or affirmative action. And again, when people speak about DEI, especially what I've been seeing in the past year, they've been really tagging Black folk in certain positions, certain statuses, and certain fields as DEI hires. And again, that is just the broad picture that they paint, but no one does the investigative work. No one does a simple Google search because it fits your narrative. Or you rather not and just listen to the masses and believe whatever party puts out propaganda about a certain group. Because again, that gives people more weight, more ammunition to be discriminatory, to be hateful, to be racist, to be all sorts of things. Because they believe that a particular demographic like Black folk are a strain on America. And that in some regards, we're just as bad as illegal immigrants. The only difference is we're not illegal, but we're trained on all the quote unquote social programs. Well, that isn't true. Now, of course, by all means, do your research on your own. Chief diversity officer statistics by race and gender: whites, 76%, Hispanic, 7.8, Asian, 7.7, Black or African American, 3.8%. The most common ethnicity among chief diversity officers is white, which makes up 76%. All chief diversity officers, comparatively, there are about 7.8, and then they go on and so forth, right? And then they get down to the gender specifics. But now I have a message from our sponsors. And again, I encourage you all to research the exact same thing that I'm referencing here. Listen in.
The real F around and find out moment is here. A lot of people are looking at the Black community thinking that we are the recipients and benefactors of DEI programs and affirmative action programs. And I know affirmative action is no longer, but whenever they hear the term DEI or they hear the term affirmative action, they look to the Black community thinking that we are the benefactor. Now, here's some information for you. The number one recipient of DEI are white women. That is according to the U.S. Department of Labor. And others fall under that group, under the minority group, the ethnic minority. Number one recipient under that group are Latino and Hispanic Americans. Number two are Asian Americans. Number three are Native Americans. Number four, individuals with disability. Number five, veterans. Okay? And number six, the LGBTQ plus community. And guess who comes last? at receiving DEI benefits. Guess who comes last? That's right, Black Americans, Black people. Let me also say, you can do a Google search and you will see the primary benefactors of DEI programs are not only white women, but white men, white male CEOs. Those are the ones who have benefited the most from DEI initiative programs.
Wow. Very, very powerful. And I think people should do their research because, again, we have been labeled and stereotyped and kind of this evil halo over our head that all the positions that we have in corporate America and federal jurisdictions and businesses that we are DEI hires, which is absolutely true. When you see a black mayor, oh, he must be a DEI hire. Oh, for the black mayor's DEI. Like people didn't vote for him. Oh, okay. So again, I think it's important that we know the truth and that we sometimes there's a color on it and sometimes it isn't. But again, statistics always backs things up. And again, some people, again, tending to their perspective, tend not to go with the statistics, which they will go with statistics at any other time. But when it comes to, again, certain demographics, people tend to stray away from the truth because it doesn't fit their narrative or what they've been leaving for such a long time because of different political propaganda or what side of the fence you stride on, whether it be the Democrats or the Republicans and some people who are for independence. I digress. Now, the tensions between the U.S. and China, because again, there's a lot of backlash that's happening because China is now saying, no, the CIA is absolutely wrong. Because China is now refusing to accept the claims that COVID-19 came out of a leaked lab in Wuhan, China. But the CIA doubled down on accusations that the COVID-19 pandemic likely originated from a Chinese lab. But Chinese are not taking that. Nope. They've actually slammed the agency's claims as politically motivated lies. Because China is accusing the U.S. of using the pandemic as a geopolitical weapon to undermine Chinese influence globally. That's what they're stating that we're doing. Yeah, they were undermining Chinese influence globally, stating that we are the cause of the COVID-19. So I guess at this particular point, who's telling the truth? Is there a lack of transparency from both sides? Yeah, I think a lot of people would like to know that. Now, this particular story, in my opinion, is true to spark some outrage because a stop work order on billions of dollars in U.S. foreign aid has been quietly implemented, leaving allies that we've been giving money to for years in lurch. And again, a lot of people, a lot of critics give China an opportunity. They believe that this gives China an opportunity to step in where we as Americans are pulling out. Whether it be from Africa to the Middle East, Beijing is expanding its influence while some people believe that the U.S. is essentially stalling on this. Because I said this multiple times that we give billions and billions of dollars to in foreign aid to different countries. And some of our interests in these countries are not even from an economic standpoint or a military positioning versus our military strategy standpoint. We're just helping them out. We're being like philanthropists. We're being good humanitarians around the world where we're giving all of these countries billions of dollars with no strings attached. But nonetheless, Trump has pulled out of that. He said, nope, we're not going to keep giving people free money. What are we getting for our money? So they believe that this is an opportunity that China can spread more so around the Middle East and Africa and in some parts of Asia, of course, but to have control because China already have ports in certain countries in Africa. They already have security details in some countries in Africa where they have like almost police stations. And there's large populations of Chinese folk living in a lot of these different African countries. When we went over to Ghana, it was about 2 or 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, we went over to Ghana as a family and we saw, Chinese people out and about. And we're not just talking about Chinese men over there mining and building roads. No, we saw child-age children. We saw women. We saw teenagers. Because the way I look at the African continent now that has over 50-something countries is that the entire continent was almost once, they were being colonized by the Europeans. And when the Europeans pulled out, the Chinese came in. So they're no longer being physically colonized, but in my opinion, they're being economically colonized. Because again, when people have control of your resources and they're the ones who know how to build infrastructure when it comes to roads and hospitals and schools and sewage and drainage and water filtration systems, electrical grids, etc., and you don't know the know-how, they have a hold on you. They have a control. And I believe that a lot of these African countries, because of the corrupt so-called people they have in place, which again, the people outnumber the government and the military, there's a way, and I say this all the time, in order for a lot of these African countries to regain their power of these figureheads that possibly the colonial powers left in place so they can always have the betterment of the deal, they're going to oust a lot of these leaders and put people in place that's for the people and for the country. Because a lot of these deals they're making with the Chinese, where 70% of the company over here is Chinese versus 50-50 or 60-40. Hey, listen, for every one Chinese person working at this mining or this facility, we're going to need 3 of this African country, or at least 2 of these African country. And not all of your guys are going to be the managers. You're going to train our managers. You're going to train us how to do the process. Okay. We're not just going to keep depending on you. If you want our minerals, if you want our resources, these are some of the deals that African countries are going to have to make. It's going to have to be profitable. And guess what that's going to do? That's going to create jobs in your countries. That's going to help the living conditions of your countrymen. Just a thought. Now, of course, you guys have been hearing that Colombia is now accepting their illegal immigrants back, whether it be on a commercial flight, civilian flight, or military flight. But this is not something as recent as most people think, because for years, leaders in countries like Colombia and Canada have been vocal about their disdain for Trump's policies, and they knew this was coming. But many are now, believe it or not, quietly cooperating with the U.S. trade and security demands. And I wonder, will this sustain? I wonder if this will keep going on. And with all of that said, I have some really good news for you guys. I don't know if you guys are really watching the illegal immigration, siege happening right now, where Trump has deputized a lot of these, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms like the ATF or the Drug Enforcement Agency like the DEA, deputized them to be CPB or deportation agents. But I have something in the realm of illegal immigration I think a lot of you will be happy about, because here's the thing. Billions of dollars of American taxpayer money has already been spent. And a lot of you, like myself, have been wanting to see a border. Like, if we're going to pay high taxes, can we at least get the security of the federal government? Well, Well, that was my good news to basically tell you guys that the continued construction of the border wall is happening right now. They threw all the resources. I feel like it looked like they back in the swing of things. They got some of the same contractors to come back out and finish the wall. So again, that's a positive note. At least we're going to have, and I know there's a lot of people that come out, oh, the wall is not going to do nothing. They're going to use ladders. They're going to dig underneath. Again, it's a working process, because there was also another story I wanted to share with you guys. Did you guys hear about the cartel planning bombs at the border? Did you guys hear about that story? Yeah, I want to show you maybe just a quick graphic here, because this has been all over the news and this came out quite recently here. Let me show you. Their travelers urged to be cautious as Mexican drug cartels plant explosive along Texas border. Okay, now I'm pretty sure that's probably meant for CPB, but they have to know that there are thousands of people trying to enter the country illegally, and the majority of them are from Central America and South America. You're killing some of your neighboring countrymen as well as your own countrymen. Why would they do that? But again, the cartel is planning explosive at the Texas border. Wow. I hope that we send our bomb techs down there to defuse it, so innocent people aren't harmed behind this. But this is crazy. And of course, some of this may be in retaliation of Donald Trump deporting a lot of people who are illegally in the country and start reconstructing the border wall. And here's the thing. They really need to have security while those men work, so no one can interfere in the operations, whether it be the National Guard, state troopers of that state where the border is being conducted, CPP, they can up the numbers, DEA, but people who are carrying firearms to protect those workers as they carry out their duties to secure the South American, the American border on the south part. But anyway, I'm bumbling over my words. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me. If you're new to Black Logic, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. This is Black Logic.